Good evening, everyone, and welcome to American Center Moscow's program From Children's Books to Graphic Novels. My name is Dr. Ryan Montoya, and today I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Alina Gorban, an illustrator of numerous children's books, an accomplished cartoonist, and the author of the groundbreaking graphic memoir Silence Full Stop. As a bit of background, Gorban was born in late Soviet Union in Moldova in 1984 to artistic parents who encouraged her to pursue her own art career. In 1990, when the Soviet Union was collapsing, her family moved to Israel, where Alina went on to study visual communication and illustration at Shenkar College of Design in Israel and earned her master's degree in illustration from the School of Visual Arts in New York. While illustrating books and making comics, these days, Gorban is concurrently teaching at her former college as well. Alina, welcome to the program. I'm hoping to discuss a wide range of topics with you today and learn more about your artistic process. I'd also like to invite all the viewers at home and online to think of any questions that you might have, and please enter them into the chat. We're going to set aside some time near the end of the program to answer them, as well as some other questions that have been previously submitted online. So Alina, great to see you, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Fantastic. So I talked a little bit about your background. We just heard about how you were born in the former Soviet Union. Do you have strong memories of your time growing up there?
Strong, I wouldn't say because I was there until the age of 6.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
have a lot of fragmented memories, uh,
Uh-huh.
mostly
Uh-huh.
from kindergarten and just disasters, more
Disasters. Oh, good.
disaster memories.
It's good to remember the disasters. Now, how reliable is your memory? Do you actually believe that you remember those things, or is it a combination of that plus stories you might have heard from your parents or pictures?
That's a great question. So I feel like I remember those things because, I always thought that if I would be born and grow up in the same house, I would probably remember things more vividly. But
Yeah,
because I moved so much, I feel like I have only big memories of
sure.
big events. And
Yeah, yeah,
I think that they're right. I do believe that our memory is like 50-50 from what I've read.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I understand that it's like half true and half the
sure.
way I retold it to myself and maybe heard it. So who
Yeah,
knows, right?
yeah, yeah. I think 50-50 is pretty generous. I think about some of these memories that I was certain happened and I held in my brain pretty concretely. And then I'll take a look at a picture from that era and like the entire room has been reversed or something like that. But let's say
That's true.
50% of it you
Let's say
remember.
30-70.
37. It's interesting. I read this essay not too long ago. And the author's contention is that you can never return home. And what he was talking about is the idea that, your childhood home, wherever you grew up, if you leave that area, you'll never go back to that same place because that place has moved on. Things have changed. Your memories might have changed as well. And in your case, it's literally true. You can never return to the Soviet Union. But have you been back to the Moldova region since you left?
No, unfortunately, I haven't. My family went there, but I haven't. And
Okay.
they said that even our house is not even
Oh
existing.
no. I was going to
So
ask if they had what their impression was, if things had changed completely, like things had been rebuilt. So things have moved on pretty dramatically since you folks were living there.
actually, now that I'm, you see, this is the memory part. Now I see that I'm lying because my
Yeah,
grandma's house is
good.
not existing. My building still exists, and they sent me, I think, a picture of it, but it's like
Okay.
didn't
Yeah.
even ring a bell, the building itself. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. it's good to get into these lies early on. Okay, we really want to get deep into the truth of this in this conversations.
Yeah.
um, and you mentioned that you were 6 years old when you moved. Did you know why, or did your parents kind of explain in detail why you were moving at that time?
Yes, definitely. They said that we need to go to, because we are Jewish, we need to go to Israel. I think it's because this is where they could get passports.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 It's
everybody was
practical.
just escaping, kind of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do remember a very charged situation, and a lot
Uh-huh.
of like scares, like a lot of
Yeah.
pulses of being scared from something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
my parents also were talking about not talking about moving a lot of
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
in kindergarten, and I understood that if it has to be a secret, then it's probably not a good thing.
That's
So
right.
I
That's
kind of
right.
understood.
So you could tell, yeah. I mean, I generally believe that kids, even at 4 or 5, can sense when there's tension, and you sense it even if you didn't know exactly what was happening. It sounds
Exactly.
like.
Yeah.
And so, when we think about where people are from, I personally tie that to their identity and their and the formation of their personality. How important was moving from one country to another in the development of your personal identity?
Oh, I think it was detrimental, if I'm saying the word right. I definitely think that it built my character.
Right. It's a little bit of resistance to make you stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of resistance. Israel was not a welcoming place at the time. I think that the people that came from the Soviet Union, it was like almost a million and something. Uh,
Wow. I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
big wave
Yeah.
of migration,
Yeah.
and the local people were definitely resisting in a way,
Yeah.
culturally. Kids were
Yeah.
not nice, and people in general. There were a lot of jokes because um, when I, for instance, moved to New York a couple of
Yeah.
years, not couple, many years ago, uh, I had the language, I knew the culture, I was prepared. My parents didn't know the language, they were shocked,
Yeah.
basically. And that's most of the immigrants that came to Israel were like that. So you have
Right.
a lot
Right.
of university professors, musicians,
Yeah.
people that had real careers working as
Right.
street cleaners, and the local population was making a lot of jokes about that, and that was hurting.
For
But I think
sure.
it's a different
That's
time.
really Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, it's tough for adults and then certainly for kids who are
Yeah.
still learning everything anyway to have to learn that plus a new language and a new culture. And you talk about that a little bit in your book, so I can imagine how tough that is. Were there grades of this or shades of this, like certain people coming to Israel at this time, but they kind of knew the culture, so they fit in a little bit more easily versus you and your folks who just had to do a
Yeah.
complete 180? Okay, makes
Definitely
sense. Yeah.
Americans. Like every time they would enter American kid to class, a new kid, everybody were excited because he had like the cool
Funny.
shoes and the cool
Yeah.
clothes. And then you have and you were like, oh my God, I was not treated like that at all
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I came.
Yeah. All
So
these American show-offs with their nice shiny shoes.
yeah,
Um,
Nikes.
that's fascinating, and it colors your work. I mean, sometimes literally when we see that depicted in your book, but then also I imagine with your work in children's illustration, it probably colors that as well. And I did want to talk about that. So I know you're an artist. You've probably been drawing your whole life.
Mhm.
But when and how specifically did you start getting into cartooning and illustration and pursuing it very seriously?
Well, I grew up like that. I was I don't feel like I ever started in a
Yeah,
way.
it just was there.
I
Yeah, since
was
you
there because
yeah,
yeah, my
yeah.
father is an artist. He's a
Uh-huh.
great artist. And I grew up in his studio, so I
That's
started
great.
drawing very, very early. I started
Great.
drawing. My dad says that I started when I was one. I started speaking and then I started holding a pencil. So
Right, right.
for me,
So
it's
earlier than you can remember. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And illustration specifically, I didn't even know it such a thing exists.
Yeah, yeah.
Surprisingly, I
Right.
always wanted to be an artist. Then my big sister was really into fashion design. She's 7 years older than me.
Interesting.
And she made me, because I was drawing better than her, she made me draw her sketches for high school. And then I was hooked. I was sure I'm gonna be a fashion designer.
Oh,
Uh,
wonderful.
yeah, and I even got accepted in my college to the fashion design department, even though in the test they were like, "Are you sure you want to be in fashion design? You look like an illustrator." And I was like, "No, no, I want fashion design. I don't know what illustration is." Uh,
Right.
so I studied that for a year until I understood that it was like, "What? I'm not.
Not for you.
It's not for me."
Interesting. At least it only took you a year. Sometimes it takes people a lot longer.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's
Now
true.
I'm curious with this journey to discover whether illustration is right for you or design, where does comics fit in? When did you start doing comics, or were you already doing it at that point?
I was kind of already doing that. I feel like comics, I really love stories and I always wanted to tell a story. So I started just like illustrating scenes when I was little.
Yeah.
And then I had my boyfriend in high school when I was 17. He
Uh-huh.
was crazy comic fan, like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of the walls were just comics everywhere.
Sure,
And
sure.
that was my first experience with comics. It was
Yeah,
in his room just reading Batman or Superman or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And then I read Daniel Claw's Ghost Town.
Ghost World, yeah,
Ghost
amazing,
World, sorry.
amazing. No, no, it's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Great, great start.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
changed my brain because I
Sure.
understood that
Yeah, yeah.
stories could like that are about nothing, kind of,
Mhm, mhm.
just a slice of life. I didn't know
Right,
that it's something that existed, and
right.
and I felt like, oh my God, this is something that I can connect to because superheroes are fun, but I'm not. It's not something that I write. Uh,
Yeah,
until now, I
yeah,
don't know what will happen, yeah, but and
yeah.
that slice of life kind of thing, slow storytelling, that
Right,
really gives you the environment, really
right,
touched
right.
me. So
Yeah,
that was,
telling human stories and things that,
yeah.
yeah, really delve into human psyche I came upon Dan Clowes the exact same way you did. I actually thought just the illustrations were fascinating. It was very unlike superhero stuff at the time. And when I started reading it, it was just way over my head because I was like way too young to understand what was going on. But the same thing, the idea that it's possible really hooked me in a similar way. Um, so, you mentioned Dan Clowes. Who are some other, not necessarily comic artists, but artists in general who've inspired you throughout your artistic journey?
Well, I'm a big fan of Tomer and Asaf Hanukkah. Uh,
Hmm.
really
Like,
love their work.
amazing illustrator. One of my
I,
favorite illustrators of all time. Oh,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Uh, Chris Ware, like, is a god,
Genius.
probably.
Genius. Yeah, yeah. Genius. Yeah,
Genius.
yeah.
Other artists like Papilotti Rist, she's a really amazing video artist.
Right. Mhm.
Raymond Pettibone, that does, he's a visual artist and he does these walls that look like comics,
Interesting.
that are amazing. He was
Yeah.
the designer of the logo of Black Flag, if you know
Oh,
that.
yeah. Of
Yeah.
course. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was the designer.
Is
Interesting.
the visual artist that is really affected me a lot.
Wow.
Gillian Tamaki, I'm a big fan of
Oh,
Gillian Tamaki.
yeah,
Her storytelling is delicious.
really.
No?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Uh,
Now, when you think about these artists, you name check some fantastic people. I personally categorize artists that are interesting to me into either I love this artist, I'm going to try and rip them off, steal from them, incorporate into my work, or they're so good I'll never touch it, and it's more just inspirational, maybe a little depressing, because they're just so good or so different from what I do. Uh, do you categorize those artists you just mentioned as one or the other, or you don't approach their influence that way?
it's a little different. I feel like those artists, they do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes, and if I'm a because I think because I'm a younger sister, I'm very competitive. You know, so in my head, I feel like okay, those are the people that do what I want to do in this world.
Correct.
So I'm gonna, up my game the most as I can to be
Yeah. Yeah.
in the same category with them, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but less of like I'm gonna take like rip off their style, but more I need to become, on their level.
Got it. Got it. What can I learn from them, right?
What can I learn from them exactly? Or like, shit, I can't believe they did what I wanted to do. You
I
know?
know. Yes. Sometimes that feeling is both exciting and really depressing. That's something an artist really get. It's like, oh, I should be doing that. But anyway, it's really fascinating to hear. And I'm sure any other artists who are listening to this can relate to that.
Yeah,
Um, Now, you made a transition, or I mean, or you're doing all this work concurrently, but when you were when you're working on children's books, uh, I imagine you're doing illustration, but then you're also working with a collaborator, sometimes a writer,
right.
or someone helping produce it. Whereas when you were working on your graphic novel, it was all you. What was the difference like working from writer's material versus you writing and drawing on your own? Did you find that exhilarating and freeing, or did you find it, a huge challenge because you had all these new things to think about?
So I think that I'm one of those people that really love doing everything by themselves. And I so for me it was of course amazing. I couldn't wait to get to that point where no one tells me what to do. Uh, in a way, I think that anyway, not really no one tells me what to do because when I was doing children's books, I always tried to do my best to really
Yeah,
immerse them in the sketches before they
yeah,
could even tell me what's their idea for that.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
really, even though I always do it like almost finished, even though I know that if they don't like it, I need to redo it, I still prefer that. So
Yeah,
they forget
yeah,
what they wanted and just do
right.
what I want.
That's right. It's like a Jedi
So
mind trick you're pulling on them. Yeah.
exactly. It's a lot of investment on my side, but I don't
Yeah,
care. It's more important for me to do what I want.
that's
Um,
right.
and
Sure.
for when I was doing my own work, my own graphic novel, it was so much in my own hands.
Yeah, yeah,
I, I flourished there, because
great.
it's
That's great.
really, yeah. Just let
Wonderful.
me do what I want, and everything will be okay.
That's great. Some people, it's the opposite, and if they
Yeah,
don't have that guiding hand, they can run into a lot of problems. But it's clear to me as a reader that that's what happened. But it's good to hear it from you that that is how you felt when you had that kind of control over the work. Um, I find this interesting. I ask artists when I get to talk to them kind of how their approach changes. So, if you think about your work now versus, say, when you were 20 years old, do you think your approach has largely stayed the same, or are you working on a completely different way because of your experience and what you know about how to make art?
definitely very different,
Mhm.
especially 22, but even let's say 29,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that I was in a way working very rigorously
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and like very perfectionist,
Mhm.
working, not sleeping ever,
Right.
and
Right.
um, really kind of like I don't know, I feel like it's like suicide work, you just
No,
like
for sure. Yeah. You're just
no
consumed by the art.
cons
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
consumed and
Yeah.
being consumed by my own work in a
For
way.
sure. For sure.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now and also because of that, because it's so heavy on the
Mhm.
brain,
Yeah.
I felt like I was disconnecting also a lot while I was
Sure.
working, uh,
Yeah.
very long hours. In the end, you're like, I'm just gonna put some podcast, some movie,
Yeah.
something to make me keep going, but also distract me. Uh,
Right. Right.
I'm not doing that anymore. I'm
Yeah.
very present in my work. I try to even like listen to music, but just not not music that, puts me very up or very down, but very
Right.
like kind of mellow.
Yeah.
And also definitely sleep, definitely eat, definitely nourish myself and be there for my work. I
Yeah.
heard I heard an interview, I think, by Gillian Tamaki that said
Yeah.
that she doesn't even listen to books anymore or podcasts while she works because she wants to be there. And that I remembered also that my father used to tell me when we would go to art shows, he would
Yeah.
say the good art is charged by the artist's energy. So
Yeah.
I re
Yeah.
and the viewer receives it, and I want my art to be so charged with everything
Yeah.
that I want to put in it. So I really it's like I feel like the method actors, that they really throw themselves in the work. When I
Yeah. Yeah.
work on something, I surround myself with music
Yeah.
that makes me feel that way. I
Right.
really dive into that feeling so it will be present in that work. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
That's
the
amazing. You're like
difference.
it's like you're the Daniel Day-Lewis of comic artists. You're
Yeah,
just you're absorbed by your role as
I'm
Lincoln.
so sorry.
Um,
Yeah. And I also
that's great.
try not to, not to over do something, not to be perfectionist. If I
Yeah.
have a mistake, I go with it, I
Yeah. And
uh,
you'll
roll with
sometimes get a happy accident, right? You'll get something that's
yeah,
unintended, but ends up more beautiful than if it was just overworked. And I think people,
yeah,
readers or other artists can sense that, right? They can sense when something has been overworked and it's been like the 15th draft versus something that's just like the first try. And there's definitely more energy in that.
exactly.
You read about great chefs or great photographers, and when they're younger, they're just technical, 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 and really just sweating the details. But then as they get older, it's like they're much looser. Everything's simplified. For chefs, it's less ingredients, and they're able to get better results. And I think something can be said for comic artists certainly in that same way.
But
Um,
you can't get here from here to there, you kind of have
for
to
sure,
go through the stage
for
where
sure.
you hone your skill and you're so,
Yeah,
confident in it that you can
right,
just like let it go.
right,
S-
right.
yeah.
Um, I did want to take a second because I want to talk about silent full stop, and I want to give a little background to the folks listening on this call about kind of how we got to know each other. And while I'm doing this, if you have any visuals from silent full stop,
Right.
feel free to put them up so people can see what we're talking about. But for those folks listening at home, I had the pleasure and the honor of being a judge for the Graphic Medicine International Conference that took place in Athlone, Ireland last year in 2024. And so I got to read a number of entries from 2023. And I was able to read Alina Gorban's debut graphic novel, which is called Silence, Full Stop. And I said that at that point to all the other judges, and I maintain to this day that it is the greatest comic of 2023. And so when I was working with the American Center Moscow, we had started developing this idea of interviewing great comic artists, people who worked in the American medium. And my first choice was Alina Gorban because this work was deeply affecting to me. And so this is the crux of why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And without giving too much away, so you can see Alina's putting up some of the visuals, some of the fantastic visuals from the book. I'd say that Silence Full Stop is a story about kind of reconciling identity when you're growing up in a second culture. And it's also about reconciling identity in the shadow of traumatic assault. So this is the lesson that I took away from it. And for the folks who are on this call who have not read the book, I highly recommend it. It's remarkable for a number of different things, but one of the things I loved about it is it has universality in its specificity. And what I mean by that is, here's a story about someone who grew up in the Soviet Union and Israel, had to grow up in a third culture, had to deal with trauma. And I did not really have to deal with any of those things, but really it's talking about alienation and isolation, and everyone can relate to that. So I want to talk about this book, Alina. And first I want to ask, when did you start creating this? Was this something that was years in the making? Was it something that you sat down at the end of 2022 or at the beginning of 2023 and said, I just want to do this now? Like, when did the seeds of this start for you?
Oh yeah, it was definitely something that I did for years because this is something that is talking about my life.
Yeah,
It's a story that is very real. So I've been doing that. I've been writing journals since I was
yeah,
16, like kind of religiously.
yeah.
Let me share my
And
my
those are
work.
actual journal entries from the book. I remember
Yeah.
some selections are actual journal entries. It's
This
very
is actually from a different comic what I'm showing, but it's
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
descriptive of how my life is. I'm drawing every black hole that I dive into. These are some sketches. I started journaling when I was 16 rigorously, and when I was a kid, like more sporadically.
Mm-hmm.
Then I decided to just use it,
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
comics.
yeah,
When I was in college, not college, sorry, when I was earning my master's in New
yeah,
York,
yeah.
for my thesis, I started drawing these stories. Um, and I couldn't, there were stuff that I just like had to um get out of my system.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
I feel like comics is my way of processing information.
Right, right. Yeah,
So there were so many things that I didn't understand as a child when we came to Israel, and so many traumas that I
mm-hmm.
had to, of course, just like get it out.
Yeah,
So I did a version of this book for my thesis, but it was definitely not finished
yeah,
and very messy because I was
yeah,
younger and I
yeah.
didn't know how to build a story and
Right.
everything I told you before, no sleep, everything looks like punk, which has its qualities, and I used some of it in the
Mm-hmm.
graphic novel eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but really, life just happened to be very chaotic and interesting. So I
Yeah.
feel like I've been writing this book my whole life, and I'm happy to that it has like that it's on the shelf, and I
Oh,
don't need to deal with it anymore.
for
Yeah.
sure. You mentioned a couple of really fascinating things. First of all, you're passing by some of my favorite pages from the book. The one where you can see the water and the sunset is my favorite kind of spread from the book. You mentioned uh, drawing comics as a way of processing things. And it's interesting because you're a journaler, and that's one way to kind of get the events down and process it. But translating that into a comic is a completely different process. So
Yeah.
I can imagine it was both interesting and maybe cathartic, but also very difficult to translate it from a journalist, you write the words, it's there, it's a record, but then when you have to interpret it artistically, it must be a whole different effort for you.
Yeah, I think that I did it wrong. I was not in therapy while I was doing that. So I did a good job of re-traumatizing myself and enter therapy immediately when I finished the book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
So
now you got, I mean, however you got the tools, you got them, even if you got them after you re-traumatized yourself. So I'm thankful. I think the book is powerful because of it. I don't want you to suffer unnecessarily, but I think the work really, really benefits from you
thank
experiencing those things so deeply again. Did you always see it as a graphic novel, or did you think I want to do it in a series of short stories that eventually get collected, or you said this is it, it's going to be a graphic memoir as its final form?
Definitely, yeah. I always my dream is always to have one of those, door stoppers,
Huge
blankets.
Hiroaki Samura books. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I want
yeah,
like 500 pages.
for sure. Yeah.
This is only half. It's only 275. I know I have a
A
long way to
debut
go.
graphic novel, almost 300 pages. It's incredible. Really incredible.
Yeah, the funny thing is that it started as it was like 175 pages. I did all
Yeah,
the sketches, I did the
yeah.
story, and then I had some comments from the editor that was little comments, and the
Yeah,
way I addressed them is I drew another 100 pages.
just kept expanding. Yeah, yeah. It's like the
I,
opposite of what happens in a movie edit, right? They're like expand, expand, expand. That's great.
I
That's
really don't
really
know how it happened. I don't even have in a way, I don't even have the memory of drawing those extra 100 pages for days and months. But
yeah. You
I
just
think there was obsession involved.
for sure, for sure. You blacked out and you woke up like months later and with a stack of 100 pages on your desk. Um, you know, I I find it interesting when I hear or read other kind of reviews of the book. And I don't know if you read your own reviews, but it's been categorized as either a memoir or a graphic medicine novel or sometimes like a coming of age novel. Do you find these kind of categorizations of your work useful in any way, or do you think that's just for categorizing and marketing things?
Um, I think the second thing you said, it's
Yeah,
more for that,
it's
but
more
the
to
best
help.
review,
Yeah,
best
yeah.
review that was written for my book was by you. It was
Oh,
I saved it. I translated it for my parents. I don't think that anyone understood me so deeply as you did in your review. So I do read my reviews sometimes. Sometimes there's one review in Goodreads which is like, I really didn't understand the ending or stuff like that, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah.
I
I,
think
I'm glad.
it's
I'm
also
glad you have a healthy attitude about it. Some people read it and it affects them very, very personally. So I'm glad that you can just laugh about it.
yeah, yeah. I did get a lot of people that contacted me on Instagram and said that
Yeah,
it feel like it's their life, that
sure, sure.
really related. And some people didn't relate, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
being, like I never intended to be a pop star, so it's okay that it's not like.
That's right. That's right. So if you can just reach a very specific audience strongly and it resonates with them, that's more than enough for you. I For those who haven't seen the book yet, it's written and drawn by Karina Shore, which is a nom de plume for you.
Yeah.
Um, did you decide to use that to create distance from the main character, or did you do that because you wanted to start like a different sort of work? Like, what was the impetus behind that?
Well, it's kind of both.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
in this when I was doing the first version of this in for my thesis.
yeah,
Uh, came for in the class. There was like a external critic,
right.
someone who's an art director, and I asked her about doing kids books and this book, which is really not for kids, and And
Yeah.
she was like, I don't know if it's really good to be in the same
Yeah.
place, maybe it will
Yeah.
some kind of it will hurt your work. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and also I felt like I was constantly how do you say it, censoring myself because I'm
Yeah.
afraid that maybe some parents will be
Yeah.
like they don't
Yeah.
like that.
You're thinking about your old audience. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I said to myself, I'm just gonna rename myself,
Yeah.
build a whole new portfolio, be a
Yeah.
different person, and this is gonna free me. I'm gonna have distance. I'm gonna have,
Sure.
and it's also easier to write as this is happening to her, not
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
That makes perfect sense. Do you plan on continuing to use the Karina Shore name, or do you want to go back to Alina? Where do you think about for your next works?
Now I care so much less about what people think of me, and I think it's like coming of age in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so I feel like my name is okay, and Karina Shore is okay, and I can be maybe I'll have another name.
That's right.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a game. So I don't. It's more playful for me right now, less
Sure.
serious. That's why I renamed, my website as as this Chick Flick Unlimited, which
Yeah. Yeah. You're
my
having fun with
friend told me that this is all my stories are just like unlimited, drama, a
it. That's
chick.
great. Oh,
So
that's
I
great.
thought this could be like a hub in a way of
That's
not only
great.
me, but maybe in the future more creators that I can collaborate with
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and make
Well,
something like that.
maybe your friend is going to get some royalties from the website for having created that name for you. Um, This is all really, really fascinating. I love these answers. I do have a few other questions, but before I ask them, I do want to give a chance to the audience to see if there are any questions. So I'm going to open up the chat right now. Um, okay, and I'll ask you this first one, which is what's one book or comic that really inspired you when you were younger? You already mentioned Ghost World by Dan Clowes, but any other ones you can think of that really resonated with you or impacted you?
Yeah, I think that uh, I really loved. Now I'm stuck on the name, but there is a comic book that I think the name is just Joker. It's from the Batman series, but it's
Yeah,
drawn with these beautiful watercolors.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
is the name just Joker
It's just Joker. Yeah, yeah,
or
it's just Joker.
Arkham Asylum? I don't know.
So there's one by Brian Stelfreeze that's just called Joker, and it's got like really kind of distinct watercolor art. It might be what you're talking
I
about.
think that that's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
copying it in watercolor, in pastel, in
yeah,
everything because it was so raw. It's
yeah,
so crazy.
for
And
sure.
I
Yeah,
really love that book. It really influenced me as well. And
great,
yeah, I think that was
for sure.
artistically, yeah,
Influential on you.
very influential. Yeah.
And we have another question, which steals my question, so you can answer it now. What are you working on next, and can you share any hints about what you're working on next?
Yeah, of course. So I have this like big plan in my head that I need to before I die. You know, everybody has their bucket
Start
list.
really
Like,
quickly. This is a
yeah,
bucket list plan for you.
the black bucket list plan. Everybody's like, I'm gonna travel there. For me, it's like I need to have at least like 7 graphic novels, which is an insane amount.
All right. All
I
right.
don't know if I really need to get going, like just
Yeah.
to start
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
that.
For
Uh,
sure. For sure.
but I'm working on for sure. I'm working on book number 2. That is oh, it's about relationships. It started from a series that I did of short stories that I
Interesting.
that is called Love Like a Girl, and there's like two volumes that I traveled with in comics conventions. I'm gonna show some pictures. Um,
Yeah, this is
and
exciting. We're getting first look here.
yeah. And I'm working on the third one that is a short,
Uh-huh.
but I'm writing a bigger script right
Okay.
now
Okay.
for that.
Yeah.
So I'll show you my latest one that I didn't finish yet. It's
Yeah.
the third one.
Yeah.
Oh, I got this like my presentation got all
Frozen. Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
when you are okay, we can see it. Oh, this
Yeah.
looks great.
So
Is it going to be tonal? Is it going to be black and white?
this is gonna be black and white.
That
I
looks stunning.
thank you.
Wow.
I feel now every time that I'm like falling in love, I make a little book.
Great.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
like that. But this is really my latest work. I think this is the latest one that I did
Yeah.
like just a
Yeah.
few days ago.
It's
Um,
great.
yeah, thank you.
And when you're writing, are you writing just words? Or are you writing and plotting at the same time with the visuals?
Great question. I think it's both. I still
Yeah.
use heavily I use my diaries heavily
Yeah.
because I still journal every day of my life basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
By
Yeah.
now there's so many journals that it's insane
That's great.
amount of paper,
That's
you
great.
know.
Yeah.
So I live in a constant retrospective on my life.
Right.
And
Right.
it builds
Right.
into my stories. And so when I start working, I think that it's almost like I have this calling in a way, like I
Yeah.
need to do this. This has to happen.
Correct. Yeah,
Obsessed
this is
about
like the clock's ticking. You got six more graphic novels to do. I mean, times of what you shouldn't even be on this interview right now. You should be working on your comic.
Listen, I need to quit my job, you know. Illustrators, they work
Yeah,
in so
yeah,
many jobs. That's the
yeah,
reality. So
yeah.
I need to quit my job and like you
Hmm.
know, fire all my friends and just work
Just
with
start
my
culling
pen.
the herd. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But you know what? Many some of them maybe next lifetime. I don't
yeah.
know.
That's right. That's right. You'll
I
deal
can
with them.
spread it.
You get reincarnated. Yeah, yeah.
I can get rid.
Um, Uh, yeah, I
So,
find
so
that
it's both.
interesting,
Yeah.
and the idea of kind of planning out like major works. I think most artists who are in comics think that way, and they have trepidations to say that because they feel like they're setting themselves up for failure. But you've already talked about how your comics are aspirational in the sense that you see artists who inspire you, and you want to get to that level, and that should include kind of the ambition of these multiple longer works and multiple greater works. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm rooting for you. But you should remember to get some sleep and
Yeah.
eat some food and things like that.
Yeah.
We have one other question, which is similar to something I was interested in asking, which is, you drew so many children's books. And then you drew this graphic novel, which is decidedly adult, and your new work is decidedly adult. Did you have to modify your style a lot to kind of cater to an adult story, or you felt like it was a pretty natural transition?
Well, you know, when I was in college, art school, usually they talk to you about style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make you think about it. And it
Yeah,
never like clicked in my head all the
yeah,
way. I couldn't, research my style. I remember that my father told me, just draw the way you draw, just
yeah,
because it's so
yeah.
natural to me. Just do it the way you do it and
Right.
don't worry about how it looks
Yeah,
like. So
yeah,
when I draw for kids or when I draw for adults, I'm not motivated by how it looks. I'm motivated by the story. So
sure.
the picture will get whatever it needs from me
Mhm.
to convey the story. It's just an end to ends to a mean. No, how do you say it?
Means to an end, but listen, I like the
Means
other
to an
one better. Ends to a means sounds better to me. Yeah, we'll coin that phrase.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I feel like I just draw. I don't think about it. I don't think
yeah,
that something needs to be cute or not. It's just naturally that a kid's
yeah,
book will be cute because it's a cute subject usually.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's great, and it kind of shows how adaptable your style is, and it didn't seem like it's that conscious or forced of an effort, which is great. So I have a couple other questions. One of them you've already been asked, but I did want to talk about. You do think about the bigger picture in terms of your art and your career and your oeuvre. So when you pick a new project or you develop a new project, do you think about its place in your overall work? And if so, do you want that uh, next work to be something that's different from what you've done before, or do you want it to be in the same vein, but you're just continuing the same conversation that you've been having with your work?
I like that how you said it. It's a conversation that I'm having with my work. It's also a conversation that my work is having with me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
as I mentioned before, I feel like my work is very like driven. It's I don't
yeah,
pick a project picks me, obsessed, know,
yeah,
over my
yeah,
brain. I feel like it's a big octopus, it just like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's
then
great.
I don't have a choice, so I kind of have to show up, sit there, and do it. Uh,
Right, right.
so this is the. I I think that the big things in my life, I don't think about them. I do
Yeah,
them, and
and
it's
it
the
gets done.
same with
Yeah,
my work. It gets done.
yeah, yeah,
If I would know how much time it
yeah.
would take me to draw this graphic novel or how
You
hard
wouldn't do it.
I would
Yeah.
never.
This is what everyone says about
Never.
everything, right? So when people write great novels or very long novels, like I would never do it again if I knew what I knew now. But also, you've
But then
probably
you want
gained
to
so
do
much
it
experience,
again.
and you're like, yeah, well, I'm going to do it again. And you want to use
Me,
that the high from having finished a book to power the next book before you can back out of it again.
yeah. I mean, I
Um,
think it's creating.
yeah,
It's the same in every field, right?
sure.
People have
Yeah,
kids and they know how hard it is, and they have
sure.
another one.
That's right.
It's the same. So,
Exact same thing. My wife should be in this conversation. Exact same thing. Um, we have one more question from the audience, which you've touched on a little bit already, but maybe you can expand on it, which is which part of your life would you say has influenced your work the most?
mm, good question. So I
Yeah,
thought that it was my teens,
yeah,
uh, but I feel like since the diaries really make me very present in my
yeah,
life, I think that
yeah.
is any time is
Like especially in the present, where I bet
present. Yeah,
your journaling and your record keeping of what's going on is way more kind of nuanced and perceptive now compared to when you first start journaling at 16.
exactly. I think
Yeah,
that it's more. uh, It was more of no, actually, even then, when I was 16, it was more of an emotional map in a way,
yeah,
more
yeah.
than what's happening to me, but more less what's happening to me, but more how do I react to what's happening to me.
Right,
And
right,
because of that, I feel like everything that's happening to me is so influential. I mean,
yeah.
life is just insane if you disconnect from it, right? If you're not on your phone
That's
constantly,
right.
like
Yeah, yeah,
looking
yeah,
around,
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
surrounded by characters. Events
Correct.
are we live in a crazy time. I mean,
Yeah,
I to
yeah,
tell anyone who's listening, we live in a crazy time.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Everything is influential. I feel
That's
like
right.
you just need to be open, just
Sure. And receptive to what's going on.
active.
Dear diary, everything is crazy. Signed, Alina. Yeah.
Everything is crazy.
Uh, um, so that is, we're running up on time. It looks like we're done with the questions from the audience, and I really didn't have anything else to ask, but I did really want to thank you so much, Alina, for having this conversation with me. Thanks for talking to us and the whole group today. And I'm very, very excited to see those new projects that you showed us. I want to thank our viewers at home for joining us online at American Center Moscow. My name is Dr. Ryan Montoya. I want you all to have a great rest of your evening, and please join us again because we will be continuing these comics discussions and events coming soon. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alina. Have a good day.
Thank you.